Hello, my name is Jacob, and today I want to share my personal journey of learning English. This is not just a guide, it's my story, how I struggled, learned, and eventually became fluent. I want to take you on this journey with me so you can see that mastering English is possible for anyone. When I was younger, English seemed like an impossible challenge. I was afraid of speaking, embarrassed by my mistakes, and unsure if I could ever be fluent. But something changed when I decided to stop seeing English as just a subject in school and started treating it as a part of my life. I began noticing English all around me, in movies, songs, and even product labels. I realized that many words were similar to those in my native language, and technology made learning easier with apps, videos, and online practice. As I immersed myself in this new world, I discovered that listening to native speakers played a crucial role in my learning. I would spend hours watching English movies, absorbing the rhythm and pronunciation, even when I didn't understand the words. Every new phrase, every unknown word was a challenge I was determined to conquer. I took notes, rewound conversations, and mimicked accents to the best of my ability. Eventually, I found myself recognizing familiar words, and my confidence grew with every small victory. I remember a time when I overheard a conversation in English at a coffee shop and, for the first time, understood the context without translation. That moment marked a turning point. I knew I was on the right path. From that day forward, I made it my mission to incorporate English into every part of my daily life. I switched my phone settings to English, read books aloud, and even dreamed in English. The language that once felt so foreign was becoming second nature. It wasn't an easy journey, but it was filled with moments of triumph and discovery that kept me going. My first big improvement came when I started listening to English every day. I watched movies and TV shows without subtitles, listened to music and tried to understand the lyrics, and shadowed native speakers by repeating their words aloud. At first, I understood nothing, but over time, words started making sense. My ears became more familiar with the sounds of English, and suddenly, I could recognize entire phrases. I remember one day, I was watching a movie, and instead of relying on subtitles, I focused on the actors' expressions and tones, slowly piecing together the meaning of their words. It was a breakthrough moment for me, and I realized that immersion was key to mastering English. Speaking English was terrifying, but I knew that if I wanted to be fluent, I had to speak. I started by having small conversations with myself, describing my surroundings in English. At first, it felt unnatural, and I struggled to find the right words. I would pause often, unsure of my grammar and pronunciation, but I pushed through the discomfort. I started practicing with my reflection in the mirror, observing my mouth movements as I formed each word. I recorded my voice and played it back to identify areas where I needed improvement. Slowly, I built up the courage to speak with others. I joined online communities to chat with native speakers, participated in language exchange programs, and used speech recognition apps to refine my pronunciation. These interactions were not always smooth. I faced moments of embarrassment when I mispronounced words or used incorrect grammar. But instead of allowing these setbacks to discourage me, I treated them as valuable learning experiences. I made it a habit to write down my mistakes and review them later. The first time I successfully held a conversation in English without hesitating, I felt an incredible sense of accomplishment. That moment was a turning point for me, solidifying my belief that consistent practice was the key to fluency. From then on, I sought every opportunity to practice speaking, whether it was ordering food at a restaurant, asking for directions, or engaging in small talk with strangers. Each conversation, no matter how brief, brought me one step closer to mastering the language.
Reading transformed my English.
I started with simple books and gradually moved to more advanced material, reading aloud to improve pronunciation, highlighting new words and using them in conversations, and summarizing stories to ensure I understood the context. I spent hours at my local library, absorbing different genres of literature, from children's books to historical novels. Each book introduced me to new vocabulary and expressions that I could incorporate into my daily speech. I also began reading newspapers and online articles, which exposed me to more contemporary and formal language structures. I made it a habit to note down every new word or phrase that seemed useful, then looked up its meaning and pronunciation. One of the most effective strategies I adopted was reading the same book multiple times, first to understand the story, then to analyze the grammar, and finally to imitate the writing style. I also joined a local book club where I discussed novels in English, which significantly improved my comprehension and speaking skills. Eventually, I was able to tackle complex literary works and even academic materials, which further strengthened my ability to understand sophisticated sentence structures and contextual meanings. Writing was another powerful tool in my learning journey. It helped me organize my thoughts and improve grammar. I kept a journal in English where I wrote about my daily activities, thoughts on books and movies, and short fictional stories to practice creativity. At first, my sentences were short and full of errors, but as I continued writing every day, my skills improved dramatically. I even started writing letters to pen pals in different countries, which exposed me to various writing styles and idiomatic expressions. Over time, I challenged myself to write longer and more complex pieces, including essays, detailed travel diaries, and fictional narratives with well-developed characters and plots. Writing became a way for me to express my emotions, explore my imagination, and develop my storytelling skills in English. I also participated in online writing forums where I received constructive feedback from native speakers and experienced writers. This not only helped me refine my grammar and sentence structure, but also improved my ability to convey ideas clearly and persuasively. I began experimenting with different writing formats, from blog posts to formal reports, which further expanded my command of the language. Eventually, I reached a point where I felt confident enough to submit articles to English language publications and even attempted to write a short novel. Writing consistently not only solidified my grammar and vocabulary, but also strengthened my overall fluency, allowing me to think and express myself in English effortlessly. Expanding vocabulary was crucial, so I developed a system using flashcards to memorize words, playing word games to make learning fun, and creating sentences for each new word I learned. I challenged myself to learn at least 10 new words a day, ensuring that I not only memorized their meanings but also incorporated them into daily conversations, journal entries, and even social media posts. I also engaged in word association exercises, linking new vocabulary to images, personal experiences, and real-world scenarios to make them more memorable. Additionally, I used spaced repetition techniques, reviewing words at strategic intervals to reinforce retention. I found it helpful to immerse myself in different media sources such as books, podcasts, and news articles, constantly exposing myself to a variety of words in different contexts. As my vocabulary grew, so did my confidence in speaking and writing, allowing me to express my thoughts more clearly and effortlessly in English. These learning methods were not just strategies, they became an integral part of my daily routine. English was no longer a subject I had to study, it became a language I lived and breathed every single day. From the moment I woke up, I immersed myself in English, listening to podcasts as I prepared breakfast, reading news articles during lunch breaks, and watching English movies in the evenings. I spoke to myself in English, narrated my thoughts, and even dreamed in English. The journey was challenging, but every step forward brought me closer to fluency. There were days when I doubted myself, frustrated by my slow progress, but I reminded myself that learning a language is not a sprint but a marathon. I embraced the process, savoring every moment of comprehension, every newly acquired phrase, and every small victory. The more I practiced, the more English became second nature to me, shaping the way I expressed my ideas, connected with others, and saw the world around me. One of the most important changes I made was training myself to think in English. Instead of translating in my head, I started describing things around me in English. This helped me speak faster and more naturally. To immerse myself further, I began writing daily reflections in English, narrating my thoughts as if I were explaining them to someone. I started reading books, magazines, and online articles without a dictionary, forcing myself to infer meaning from context. I even challenged myself to dream in English, a practice that over time became second nature. To further develop this habit, I actively engaged in activities that forced me to rely on English thinking. I kept a thought journal where I wrote down my spontaneous ideas, reflections on my day, and short stories purely in English. Additionally, I began practicing verbal storytelling, where I narrated my past experiences, imagined future scenarios, and even explained complex topics to myself in English. Whenever I faced an issue or needed to make a decision, I deliberately talked myself through the thought process in English, mimicking how a native speaker might reason things out. I also started recording these reflections, listening back to them, and noting areas where I could improve my sentence structures or pronunciation. Over time, my internal monologue naturally shifted from my native language to English, allowing me to process ideas more fluidly. To further enhance this habit, I would spend entire days where I forbade myself from using my native language in thought or conversation, forcing my brain to adapt and function solely in English. This immersive method pushed my linguistic capabilities to new levels, making English feel less like a foreign language and more like a natural mode of expression. In addition, I engaged in conversations with myself, narrating actions as I performed them, such as cooking, cleaning, or walking through the park. I asked myself questions and responded as though I were conversing with someone else, helping me formulate responses quickly and instinctively. I also challenged myself with mental exercises, such as describing objects around me using as many adjectives as possible or forming complex sentences without pausing. To strengthen my ability to think in English, I expanded my exposure to diverse contexts. I listened to different English dialects and engaged with content covering a variety of topics: science, philosophy, history, and business, to develop a more versatile vocabulary and a deeper understanding of English expressions. By surrounding myself with complex discussions, I trained my brain to think critically in English, which significantly improved my ability to articulate thoughts clearly and naturally in both speech and writing. To surround myself with English, I changed my phone and computer settings to English, followed English-speaking influencers, and watched only English content online. I actively engaged in online discussions, participated in language forums, and even started a blog in English to document my learning journey. I subscribed to English language podcasts and listened to them during my daily activities, absorbing different accents and speech patterns. I also joined English book clubs where I could discuss literature with native and non-native speakers alike, which helped me gain confidence in expressing my thoughts in English. Furthermore, I attended English-speaking events, such as meetups and cultural exchanges, where I could interact with native speakers in real-life situations. By fully integrating English into my daily life, I was able to reinforce my learning and make the language feel more natural. I set clear, realistic goals to stay motivated, such as learning 50 new words every week, reading at least 3 books in English each month, and engaging in 2 hours of conversations daily with native speakers through various language exchange programs. I increased the difficulty of my listening practice by not only tuning into TED Talks, business presentations, and academic lectures but also immersing myself in audiobooks, historical speeches, and real-time news discussions. To further challenge my comprehension skills, I started analyzing and summarizing English literature, dissecting complex sentence structures, and comparing different accents from across the English-speaking world. Additionally, I practiced transcribing audio segments, taking dictation, and shadowing speakers in real time to improve both my listening accuracy and comprehension skills. I also began debating online with fluent speakers, forcing myself to articulate arguments clearly and respond spontaneously, which strengthened my ability to think quickly in English. Through these immersive methods, I found that not only did my listening skills improve, but my overall fluency and confidence in speaking English soared to new heights. Repetition was key to my progress, so I went over my past notes weekly, retold stories in my own words, and regularly tested myself on difficult words. I recorded myself speaking and played it back to identify areas for improvement. I memorized and performed monologues from famous speeches to enhance my fluency and pronunciation. I also engaged in role-playing exercises, pretending to be in real-life scenarios such as job interviews or casual conversations, which improved my confidence and adaptability. Additionally, I participated in public speaking practice, giving short speeches on different topics to refine my delivery and clarity. These methods, combined with my unwavering commitment, transformed my ability to think, speak, and understand English at an advanced level. The more I practiced, the more natural my speech became, and soon I found myself engaging in spontaneous discussions without hesitation. I faced many challenges along the way. Fear of speaking in public was a major obstacle, but I overcame it by practicing in front of a mirror, recording myself speaking and analyzing my mistakes, and joining English conversation clubs. Struggling with pronunciation was another issue, so I watched videos of native speakers, practiced with tongue twisters, and listened to different English accents. Grammar frustrations were inevitable, but instead of memorizing rules, I focused on using English naturally, corrected my mistakes through writing practice, and used grammar checking tools like Grammarly. Staying motivated was crucial, so I rewarded myself for small wins, followed inspiring success stories, and reminded myself of my goals every day. Looking back, my English learning journey was one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. It taught me not just a language, but also patience, persistence, and confidence. If you are learning English, remember that fluency is not about perfection, it's about progress. Every mistake you make is a step toward improvement. Keep going, keep practicing, and most importantly, enjoy the process. Now, it's your turn. Have you ever struggled with learning English? What has helped you improve? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this story helpful and inspiring, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you won't miss any future lessons. Also, share this video with your friends who are learning English too. It could help them gain the confidence and vocabulary they need to improve their skills. Let's continue learning together.